Hello everybody, hope everybody's having a great last Sunday before Christmas. I decided to go away from the cards for this video. It's going to be another flea market find, but what we're going to be doing, this is the NASCAR diecast edition of flea market finds. I've been going to some really nice flea markets and antique malls and such over the last few months, and I've been able to find some really good diecast cars, some good deals. Got a few of them on eBay here and there, so I just wanted to share with you guys some of the stuff that I've picked up over the last few months. You'll probably hear me rustling around in some bags and stuff, but that's just part of it. I don't really have a good system to organize these, but I'll just start off. The first one I'll grab here off the top of the stack. Picked this up recently at a flea market. It's a nice 1/64th scale Milkhouse Cheese promotional car of Alan Kulwicki. There you see the Allen's car. This is probably from the 1992 season, the year he won the championship. It does have the Racing Champions collector card there in the bubble, whatever you want to call it, the blister part of the blister pack. I'll let you take a look at the back of the package there. I'm not sure who Milkhouse Cheese is, but I'd seen this one and I wanted this car. I thought it was really nice. Then we have the next one here in our stack. We have from Racing Champions, Robert Presley. This is an Alliance Racing Team diecast. Robert drove with this team in the early to mid-90s, was replaced in 1994, late 94 by Dennis Setzer. No, I'm sorry, late 1993 by Dennis Setzer, and then Dennis ran the team till it shut down. This one is from 1992. There's a little bit of biographical information about the company, Robert, his Busch Series career at the time. This is one of my favorite diecast cars. Excuse me. It is the test car that Dale Jr. Drove in 2007 prior to moving to Hendrick Motorsports. Late 2007, Dale Jr. had a test session with Hendrick Motorsports, the team that he was moving to, and this paint job here, the All-Star Racing paint job, was the first paint job that Hendrick Motorsports ran in 1984 when they first started their team. So, of course, you see some of these still have stickers from random flea markets, random sales, wherever they came from. Not sure how many hands these cars have passed through before they got to me, but we'll take it. The next diecast car is a 1992 Racing Champions. I've not seen this one very often, if I'd seen it at all. Stanley Smith. Of course, if you remember Stanley Smith, 1993, Die Hard 500, he had a hard crash in Turn 1. He did have a basilar skull fracture, the same injury that killed Neil Bonnet, Dale Earnhardt, and several other drivers. But Stanley, who was driving his own family-owned team at the time, had managed to survive the injury. He did come back to race in late models and other lower divisions of racing, but never made it back to the Cup Series. This car is sponsored by Ameritron batteries. He originally brought, in 1990-91, he brought Interstate batteries to NASCAR, and Interstate, of course, has been with Joe Gibbs since 1992. This next car is also from 1992. This is Bobby Hillin Jr. He drove a number 31 car owned by Irish businessman Martin Boraine. And you see, car was virtually unsponsored. Had the clover leaf there, the clover, and the word Ireland on the hood. Martin, of course, as I said, was a businessman from Ireland. The team got a lot of their equipment. I can't read that logo there behind the number 31, Monticello Park. But they leased a lot of equipment and engines and so forth from Richard Childress Racing. 1991 at the Mellow Yellow 500 at Charlotte, the team was discovered with an oversized engine and disqualified. I think they may have originally finished about 20th or so, and after that, Martin quit the sport. Here we have a pace car from 1997 Brickyard 400. I was at that race, as it is my local track. I believe that is a Monte Carlo. Could be wrong, usually am. But just a promo car that Racing Champions would come out with every year to promote various races throughout the year. Of course, the Brickyard at the time was a bigger event. It's kind of faded down the list a little bit. But like that car, very unique paint scheme on that car. Then we have from Action. Is this Action? Yeah, Action Racing Collectibles. A lot of Jeff Gordon fans will recognize this one. This is the car that Jeff Gordon made his NASCAR debut in 1990 Fall Rockingham in the Busch Series. He actually started second in the race, and what I like about Action Collectibles is their accuracy and their attention to detail. You see it does have the yellow rookie bumper there on the back. We'll get a little bit clearer shot there. So yellow bumpers in NASCAR indicate a rookie driver. We have another action card, another action car here. This is from 1995. Sorry, 1996, because Kyle Petty won this race in 1995. But in 1996 at the Coke 600, Dale Earnhardt was accused of doing some rough driving, and so was Kyle Petty. Kyle Petty got penalized for it. Dale Earnhardt did not. So in the next race at Dover, Kyle's car owner at the time, Felix Sabates, who just recently retired, wanted to paint his car up like Dale Earnhardt's in protest to being penalized the week before. So this was always a popular car amongst diecast collectors because, you know, a lot of people are Kyle Petty fans. You do have that beer sponsorship on the car in this diecast version, so that was rather unique. We'll get a view of the back of the car there. And the fact that it's done in Dale Earnhardt's paint job, so you cover a lot of different areas of interest there for people that enjoy either the beer sponsorships, Kyle Petty fans, or Dale Earnhardt fans. So from Winner's Circle in 1999, 98, 99, they started doing these Lifetime series of cars. So here's a couple of the Jeff Gordon ones. You have a Superman car. I don't remember exactly what race they raced this in, but we can look at the back and I'm sure it'll tell us that in 1999 at Lowe's Motor Speedway in May of 1999. So I do vaguely remember that there were some of the other cars that had the other characters from DC Comics on there. And the other car is his second year, first full season of Busch Series, Carolina Ford Dealers, driven by Bill Davis. Mark Martin made this car famous first by winning in it a few times in 1990, 89 and 90, that era. Gordon took over this car in 1991. And as you see here, this should have been a rookie car because it should have had a rookie yellow stripe on it. But that was just something that Winner's Circle, unlike Action, just did not pay attention to the detail. Got a few more Racing Champions cars here. Again, I go to these flea markets and I find some really unique die-cast cars. These three are from 1992. The tracks would come out with their own cars. So this is from June of 92, Michigan International Speedway. There you see the track logo, 92 on the back, Michigan on the TV panel there. So I was at this race in 1992. Davey Allison won this race. It was not that exciting of a race. Michigan at the time did not have real competitive races. 1992 Phoenix International Raceway, Pie Royal 500. This would have been the fifth Cup Series race at Phoenix ever. And I cannot remember, I believe Davey Allison won this race, because this would have been the race that Davey Allison retook the points lead, and then they had the six-way battle for the championship. Here you see the backs of the Racing Champions, the cardboard of it with all the checklist of drivers and just all their basically sponsor shout-outs. But this is the PIR car. Here you see Pie Royal 500 on the hood, and the date on the back of the car. And the third one I picked up was Watkins Glen. There you see Ernie Irvin and Wally Dallenbach Jr. That picture is from 1991. But the card, or the race represented, is 1992. So you got Watkins Glen on the side there. And you have the Glen in 1992. Of course, the race was sponsored by Budweiser, and Racing Champions did not mass market vehicles or cars with or die-cast with alcohol and tobacco sponsorships. You could pick those up through other retailers but definitely not the retailers like Walmart, Target, and so forth. This car, the next one, is from 1989, 1990 era. And I've picked up a couple of these along the way, but I got a really good deal on this one. This is Rob Moroso. This is the car that he drove for most of the year in 1990 before he was killed in a highway crash near the end of the season. Y'all can go on Google and learn a little bit more about that. But Rob's rookie season in 1990 was riddled. And there you can see that Racing Champions during their infancy was really not that big on quality control. Not real good assembly. Kind of generic stickers. I think they call those the Tampo stickers or Tampo graphics. No contingency stickers on the quarter panel, just one little sticker that says Crown, and then you got Crown and Fast Fare on the back. But yeah, Rob was killed in late 1990. He did posthumously win Rookie of the Year. But anytime I see this car or any of his collectibles, I do try to pick them up because he only raced for a few years, so his collectibles are a little bit more difficult to come by. And then this one is one of my favorite ones. I picked this one up. 2001 IROC Series, Dale Earnhardt. I know the tag here says Mark Martin, but 2001, that would have been the last IROC race Dale Earnhardt raced at Daytona prior to his death a few days later. So I seen this, had to pick it up. Very unique collectible. You don't see IROC diecast out there very much. Of course, there's the back of the package with just letting you know what Winner's Circle has. I'm not sure what all this is. Just probably, again, the rights to using the sponsors, the logos, the images, the likenesses. Let's look at the top of the car there. And you see as Winner's Circle went on, they got a lot more detailed. This is going to be a little bit harder to see because the way that seam is right there in that mold. But definitely very nicely done IROC car. Got a few more diecast here of recent purchases. Of course, anybody that has watched NASCAR this year knows in September, Mike Stefanik was tragically killed in a plane crash. Mike was a modified and a K&N East Series champion. So I went on eBay and found this. I thought this was really nice. Mike Stefanik's car there on the left. Joe Bessie, who is also a Busch North, what is now K&N East or ARCA Menards East Series, whatever the title of sponsor of that series is now. But they both ran for a company called Auto Palace, or were sponsored by Auto Palace. They were not teammates that I'm aware of. But I didn't know much about the Busch North teams at that time. But here's some information about Mike Stefanik. And here is Joe Bessie. Joe did win one Busch Series race in the late 90s at Dover. Mike never had the success in the Busch Series, but he had several Modified Series championships and a couple of the Busch North Series championships. We got a few more die casts down here in this bag. There was a company in the early 90s called Road Champs that made a handful of die cast cars. So I picked this one up, Jeff Gordon. This is his second full year in the Busch Series. This would be the Baby Ruth Ford owned by Bill Davis. So this was the car that Rick Hendrick discovered, I put that in quotes, discovered Jeff Gordon in Atlanta in the spring of 1992. Jeff won that race for his first Busch Series win. See if we can get that focused in a little bit better. And again, a different die-cast company, so you get a little different quality of the lettering, the stickers, graphics package that they put on there. The tires are always different from company to company, as well as the contour lines of each vehicle. But still, nice little collectible. I enjoyed picking that one up. They have a late, what year did these come out? 2007. So a couple of old Dale Earnhardt cars that I picked up that have this little hood that goes with it. So this was in 1981. It says February 15th, but I know that's incorrect because this car would have ran in the last 10 races of 1981. Or I'm sorry, I'm sorry, the 3 car with this graphics package would have ran the last 10 races. So yeah, this was the car that started the year being owned by Rod Osterland. About halfway through, Rod Osterland sold the team to J.D. Stacy. which Earnhardt promptly quit the team, took Wrangler sponsorship, and went to drive for Richard Childress. That was the first time he drove for Childress. Then he left and come back in 1984. This car is from 1986, the first year of the fastback Monte Carlos, and this was the year Dale won his second Cup Series championship. So always enjoy these vintage throwback cars that they make. And again, was this made by Action? No, it's Winter Circle. But they do a great job as they keep moving forward with the abilities, the printing technology, and for the graphics and the detail that they can add. I did pick this one up at one of the flea markets that I went to. Probably only paid a couple of dollars for it, but I really wanted it, from the inaugural Brickyard 400 Racing Champions Premier Dale Earnhardt. There were a lot of these made for the Brickyard, and in 1994 there's a black box edition that has a lot of different drivers in it. I may have one floating around here somewhere, but the Brickyard is in the purple box, and it just has the serial number embossed into it. It looks like it's 0895 or something. Can't really see that too well. If you wanted to get a driver's autograph, they have a space for you there. It gives you a little bit of information about the first Brickyard 400. That was the art that was actually on the cover program, sans the ABC Sports logo. But the Brickyard 494 was a really nice event. I did go to that one. We'll get a little bit tighter shot of the car with the Racing Champions card and the crew. And the picture on there was probably from 1992 during the inaugural tire test, because by 1994 Dale Earnhardt's crew had the uniforms that had the white on the shoulders and at the waist, and only the black band around the abdomen. 1992 they were in the all-black uniforms, so that picture is definitely from 1992. Now, we just talked about the black box versions, which I do have one right here. This is Neil Bonnet in the car that he made his return in 1993 at Talladega in. Neil, of course, was injured in 1990 at Darlington, suffered a severe head injury, suffered from amnesia for quite a while. He did test for Dale Earnhardt several times when he was cleared to drive. They took this car, which I believe is the car that Dale finished second in the 93 Daytona 500, let Neil race it at Talladega in his return. Neil did crash about halfway through the race in a spectacular flip on the front straightaway. There you see the back. Just a little bit of information about what they how they make it, or just the general information about that particular diecast. Then we have, again, from the Winter Circle Lifetime Series, excuse me, this is the car that Dale Earnhardt made his Cup Series debut in. Of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran a throwback version of his Xfinity Series car this year at Darlington with this paint job and sponsorship from Hellmann's Mayonnaise. So this is a diecast a lot of people like in their collection. If I had more room, I'd get the 1/24 scales, but I do like the attractiveness of the 1/64 scales as well. Let's zoom in on the front of the car there. Of course, this is from 1975, the year that he made his debut, driving for Ed Negri. 10,000 RPM speed equipment shop there. Got a couple more diecast here. This one was a really unique one, and in all my times going to the track, I don't ever remember seeing this one, from 1992. Almost a preview edition of Bill Elliott, because in 1991 was the last year he drove for Harry Melling. He signed to drive for Junior Johnson in 92. Of course, this car should be sponsored by Budweiser, but Racing Champions did not put alcohol and tobacco logos on their cars. There you see A New Beginning. Very unique collectible. I'm sure there's probably some Bill Elliott fans that would like to have that. But I don't recall ever seeing this one going to all the tracks that I went to in the 90s and early 2000s, and you'd have bins of just die-casts that people were selling. They had this car, but it had the picture of Bill, but it didn't say January 2nd, 1992 on the side or anything. Usually said Bill Elliott on the side in a cursive font, or maybe Junior Johnson. So that's a very cool car that I found. And then this, one of the last cars I'll show you here, this is from 1992 as well. This is just the standard Alan Kowicki Racing Champions with the Hooters girls on the card there with Allen. Of course, from 1992 is the year Allen won the championship in the then closest battle where he beat Bill Elliott by 10 points. Again, you can see a little quality control issue. The paint's a little bubbled on that, and the graphics aren't the best. Not well centered, the 7 underneath the door there. But it is what it is. That's what you got back in the early 90s. And you took it because that's all you had available as a collector back in those days. You don't have a lot of the things that they have now. Of course, you've seen in the background on my videos that I have a lot of different die-casts sometimes that I alternate from time to time. So I'll probably start doing that a little bit more often. I've just been content with having that Davey Allison car there. Found this old sprint car of Doug Wolfgang. Anybody that's a sprint car fan would probably remember this name from the 70s and 80s. So always enjoy adding unique cars like this one to my collection. And then they have the list on the back of the sprint car drivers from 1993 when this particular series was made. Some of these guys you may have heard of. There's Dave Blaney, whose son Ryan currently races in the Cup Series. And Dave had a pretty long career. There's A.J. Foyt, would like to find that one. Steve Kinzer, who made 5 Cup Series starts. This is not the Andy Hillenburg that owned Rockingham Speedway and started in the Indianapolis 500 about 10 years ago. This is Andy Hillenburg from Oklahoma, not the Indiana Hillenburg. There's Jeff Gordon. I'm sure that one's probably a little bit hard to find. Kenny Schrader, we all know him pretty well. Sammy Swindell made 2 Cup Series starts, 1985 Fall Atlanta race and the 1991 Daytona 500. And there's Doug Wolfgang on this card right there. I think we got just a few more die-casts here to look through. I thought this was a really fun die-cast. A Sunoco Ultra promo car. Don't see those a lot. And I want to say this was Terry Labonte based on the paint job. But it could also be Sterling Marlin, because those are the only 2 guys that drove the 94 Sunoco car. So 1992, that would be Terry Labonte, because 1992, Sterling Marlin went to Junior Johnson. Actually, Sterling went to Junior in 1991 to drive the 22 Maxwell House Ford. And, of course, Junior just passed away a couple of days ago, so that was very, very sad news in the NASCAR world. Junior Johnson passing away at the age of 88. Got a couple more die casts down here, maybe about 5 more to go it looks like. I picked these up. I thought these were really unique. They're just, it says T-Bird Stalkers, just Hot Wheels, done up with a Davey Allison paint job, but there's no name on the hood, or on the roof or the hood or anything. So I just picked those up because they are painted up like Davey's original Texaco Haviland T-Birds. Then actually another Hot Wheel that I come across was a Joe Bessie AC Delco Auto Palace limited edition card. Just had to pick that one up. And again, even Hot Wheels was really generic. The tires are misproportioned. The contingency decals are way out of whack. Most of the rest of the car is rather well done. That 9 needs to be a little bit more centered to the left, instead of having that white number draped over that white paint scheme where you can't see it. But we'll take it. We have from 1998 Hermie Sadler when he drove for Diamond Ridge Motorsports in the Busch Series. He's actually teammates with his brother Hermie, or Elliott Sadler. Hermie ran this number 29 DeWalt Tools car. Elliott ran the 66 Phillips Trop Arctic car. So lots of nice paint schemes from 1998, 50th anniversary of NASCAR. Looks like we have just a few more down here. We have an Elmo Langley. This is, excuse me, the car that he ran in 1991 at the Legends race on the small oval at Charlotte. There you see it says Elmo on the hood. That was a race put on by R.J. Reynolds and Winston. They had a bunch of legends come out of retirement. They ran the 8th mile track in the front straightaway. A lot of fun. That video's on YouTube. You guys will have to look it up. Lots of legends. Really cool stuff. I was saying Racing Champions didn't do a lot with tobacco and alcohol, but from 1989, this car is actually a 1990 version of Rusty Wallace. His Miller car, Miller Genuine Draft there. You see the logos there. But Racing Champions was also horribly inaccurate. As you can see, that is definitely not a Pontiac body. That looks like a Lumina, maybe a Buick. I really can't tell because they had really, really generic body molds for the cars back then. So definitely not the Pontiac that Rusty drove in 1990. Again, looks like kind of like a Lumina, maybe a Buick. We have Terry Labonte when he broke Richard Petty's consecutive start streak in 1996 of 514 consecutive races. Richard had 513, so they created an Iron Man car, obviously just kind of painted up in a dull gray with the Kellogg's logo. He ran this, I believe this car again near the end of the season as a backup when he crashed at Phoenix, but he ended up winning this race, so that was really good for Terry that day. But this was always a popular car in 1996. And my stack just fell down. Last couple of vehicles, and then we'll sign off for the day. I found a really cool 1/43rd scale, and you'll be able to see the difference in size here. This is of J.D. McDuffie. Of course, J.D. was killed in 1991 at Watkins Glen, sadly. But you can see how much bigger the diecast is than the standard card there. Racing champions would frequently make 1/43rd scale cars. I think they just thought maybe the people would like a little bit bigger car, maybe kids would like a little bit bigger car to play with, whatever that may be. But they could put more graphics into it because it'd be easier to print those off. And we will wrap up with a guy that I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. It looks like Mike Colabucci from the Truck Series in 1997. Not sure what team this is with. Probably Billy Baloo Motorsports, as they ran the 15 for a number of years. I just seen this one in a lot of cars that I was buying one day and diecast, and just thought I'd pick it up. Always like these, I don't want to say harder to find, but maybe diecast cars and trucks that some of the other fans really didn't latch onto. So probably doesn't have a lot of value, but definitely a unique piece that I've added to my collection. So I haven't done a video in almost a week, just been kind of busy with work, but I wanted to give everybody, let you know that we're going to keep getting videos going on here. I wanted to just get away from the cards for a video and let you see some of the unique diecasts that I've been picking up here. So that's going to be flea market finds here, and we're going to keep doing those occasionally as I find some unique diecast, unique cards, etc., etc. So I hope everybody, if I don't do another video between now and then, everybody have a good Christmas. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy your short work week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.